Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I know people are still trickling in, so we're going to give it another minute or so before we get started. But thank you for being here today during this Lunch and Learn. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started now. I think we've got several people that have joined us. Thank you so much for being here. Good afternoon. My name is Marina Gonzalez. I'm the president and CEO, and we are so excited to present this important webinar on how you can do business with our 5-time NBA champions, the Spurs Sports and Entertainment Organization. We are utilizing our Zoom platform this afternoon. So what we're going to ask you to do is, if you have a question, these guys are ready to answer it, but why don't you put it in your Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen? And what we're going to do towards the end of the presentation is give them the opportunity to get to all those questions as our time permits. So today, representatives will walk you through the procurement process on how you can do business with Spurs Sports and Entertainment. Today's webinar is especially important for our small business members who wish to provide a product or service directly to the Spurs. And I was just telling Daniel before we started the call, who doesn't want to be a part of this amazing organization and such a huge anchor for us here in San Antonio. So on behalf of the Hispanic Chamber, I do want to thank the Spurs for being here with us and for your participation today. Our presenters are Daniel Garcia, the Senior Manager of Purchasing, and Michael Alden, the Purchasing and Logistics Manager. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce them. Mr. Daniel Garcia has a degree in criminal justice from St. Mary's University, go Rattlers, and following his graduation was commissioned to the United States Army. Thank you for your service. He served as operational logistics leadership roles there and completed 2 combat tours in Iraq and returned to Texas to earn his master's degree in industrial distribution from Texas A&M. Mr. Garcia's experience is in government purchasing, contract development, and contract management. So please join me in welcoming Mr. Daniel Garcia. Thank you for being here. And next we have Mr. Michael Alden overseeing the purchasing and logistics for the San Antonio Spurs, the San Antonio Football Club, Austin Sports, and Spurs Gives. Mr. Alden has been with the Spurs for almost 20 years, and he helped open the AT&T Center. So please help me welcome Mr. Michael Alden. And without further ado, Daniel, I will hand over the floor to you.
Okay, great. Thanks, Marina, for that introduction. Feel a little humbled, by the way. That's let's see here. Okay. I'm going to start this presentation. So as I said before, I just want to say thank you guys, everyone who was involved in putting this together. We've always looked for opportunities to present to small local businesses because we're always, trying to utilize everyone as much as we can. And as you guys see when I go through this presentation, what we focus on whenever we're offering to go for a bid, how many or what types of services or goods that we purchase and anything of that nature. So I'm just going to kind of go through this. Please feel free to write down any questions that you guys may have. And at the very end, we're going to answer anything that we can and kind of help you guys kind of get into the Spurs organization and how to, gain business with us. So kind of go through this presentation. So this is how to do business with the Spurs Sports Entertainment Group. As Marina had mentioned, myself is Daniel Garcia. I'm the Senior Manager of Purchasing. So this is a quick agenda. We'll be doing some introductions. Who do we purchase for? How to become a vendor? What do we look for whenever we are seeking out a vendor? What types of goods or services we purchase? what is in our informal bid process? What is our contract process, formal contract process? We call that MSAs, our master service agreements, and that's the RFP process. And then our contact information, and I'll close it out with any closing remarks or, Q&A session. So this is the SS&E purchasing team. So I'm Daniel Garcia, the Senior Manager of Purchasing. I have on this call as well Mike Alden. He's the Manager of Logistics and Purchasing. Don Wyndham is our Senior Purchasing Coordinator. Guillermo Gutierrez is a Purchasing Coordinator, and Victor Chavez is a Purchasing Coordinator. And that's what consists of our purchasing team there at SS&E. So who do we purchase for? So we purchase for multiple entities. We have obviously the AT&T Center where the Spurs play. Spurs Give, which is our nonprofit organization. The Austin Spurs, which is located at the Cedar Park Center in Austin, Texas. They're our G League team. The San Antonio FC Club, which is located at Toyota Field, we also purchase for. And then obviously the Spurs Sports Entertainment, and that consists of obviously the San Antonio Spurs organization, basketball operations, front office, back office, and along with any concerts and events that we may have at the AT&T Center. So how to become a vendor. So this is probably the most important slide on this presentation. So whenever I get access, or if Mike can do it right now, if you just copy and paste that link, put it in the chat, and that way people can, bookmark it or whatnot. But this basically, you're going to fill out this important information at the link below. You're going to go to that website, and that's going to request to set up a vendor meeting with us, where we put you on our schedule, and that gives you an opportunity to kind of showcase your business to us and kind of give us an opportunity to ask questions on what kind of goods or services you provide, where you're located, certain key ideas and ideals that we may be able to pick from you. And then I know there's a lot of small local businesses on this call. So another thing that we emphasize is to get certified as a small women minority business enterprise, which in San Antonio, they call them SWMBs, or a historically underutilized business, which is state of Texas, is a hub program. So just to be transparent with everyone, the AT&T Center, whenever we signed a contract, we had to meet 20% of our annual spend with the CAM organization to meet our small local business minority program spend, which is 20% every quarter. So we are seeking every quarter new and small local businesses. And then attend any local SWMB networking events just like this one, and just try to get your name out there. And then we try to get involved as much as we can within the community. So whenever you go to that website, just give you an example of what you're going to be looking at. And we're just going to ask you some key questions. And if you have any questions, or if you have any comments or concerns, please call that number, and we can kind of help walk you through that process as well. But this is just an example of what you'll see on that link, just certain things that you need to fill out or whatnot. Anything with the red asterisk obviously is required. Anything that doesn't have red, I think at the very end, we do ask this, to provide some references. If you don't have any, or if you don't, you can't provide them at the time, that's okay. It's not gonna, alleviate anything. Just kind of we'll push it through. And once you submit that vendor request form, it's going to go to our purchasing email, and then that's where we'll kind of schedule you guys to get on a vendor schedule meeting request, and then we can kind of give you an opportunity to present to us. Okay, what SS&E looks for in a vendor. Obviously, quality service and strong communication. The two-way street with communication. So just make yourself available, and then try to be as accessible as you can. Reliability and responsiveness, so that goes back to, accessibility. Just make yourself, accessible and open to us as much as you can. Price and cost competitiveness. Any values-based companies, we highly recommend and emphasize that, because our values are integrity, caring, success, and from executive leadership and management, we strive on maintaining these core values for us. A partnership relationship building approach. We don't just necessarily want to do business with you guys. We want to build that relationship. We want to build that camaraderie with our businesses and our small local communities. Certified swim bee and hub. So once again, it's an important initiative for the Spurs organization to utilize those swim bee and hub organizations as much as we can. And then obviously local Bay Area County registered companies. And then just once again, integrity, caring, success. Those are our core values that the Spurs adhere to. What type of goods or services does SS&E purchase? So these are just kind of the overview. Obviously, we purchase a lot more than what's on this slide, but this is just an example. So all types of promotional products, any apparel items, any signs, banners, printed material, awards, trophies, office supplies, AV equipment, office furniture, which we call FF&E, which is furniture, fixtures, and equipment. Any building materials and maintenance services that we may have to provide for the AT&T Center or Toyota Field, 3D fabrications, and another important thing that is the event rentals. Anything that we may have an event outside or just within the AT&T Center, we may have to provide fencing, tents, like I said, furniture, equipment, etc. And then much more. It's basically anything that comes through the pipeline that we may need to purchase. So I would encourage you, to request a meeting for us. Even if you don't provide any of this stuff, still, request a meeting for us, and there may be something coming through the pipeline that we're not aware of right now. What is our formal bid process? Our informal bid process. Okay, so at the first thing, purchasing will develop and review scope and specifications requests from internal customers. So they'll send us a request of what they want to purchase, and we'll kind of develop the scope and specifications towards that quote. And then purchasing will send out bid requests to multiple vendors that are in our system and that we've done business with them before. Purchasing will collect and review, obviously, all the bids and recommendations, and will be sent to our internal customers for final decisions. So purchasing, all we will do is collect and gather all the information and give recommendations to our internal customers. And ultimately, they make the final decision. We can just recommend who we would do business with. Purchasing will review and administer a purchase order, PO, and award it to the awarded vendor. And obviously, all that communication, purchasing is the liaison between the department, internal department, and obviously the vendor, and all the way up to administering that purchase order to it coming to the services or goods being rendered. Then that's kind of what purchasing does. And then purchasing at the end of the day will notify any vendors if they did or did not receive or earn our business, and how they can earn it in future projects. So we won't just leave anyone hanging. We do want to obviously communicate with people and give them understanding of what we're looking for on each project. Okay, what is our formal contract process? So this is what we call an RFP process, or different, I guess, request, because either a request for qualifications, request for proposals, informal bid process, invitation for bids, anything of that nature, to where it has to be a formal solicitation. This is where that falls under. So purchasing will review and develop the scope of work, or the request for proposals with the internal department and the subject matter experts. RFPs will be sent out to the selected vendors to start the bid. So we'll have a selected number of vendors who we want to send it to. and kind of send it to them. Purchasing obviously will be the point of contact within that whole process to make sure that we keep the integrity of that procurement process and make sure that we don't have any conflict of interest or any I guess anything that's going to jeopardize that procurement. So responses will be submitted to purchasing and then evaluated by internal evaluation subject matter expert team. So that would be the evaluation committee. Purchasing will then administer the whole process from contract development and contract award. And then an executed contract agreement by both parties, including the W-9, certificate of insurance, copies of SWMB certifications, if applicable, will be on file, must be current prior to work being started. So one thing to emphasize here, just, before any services or anything gets started, once we award that contract, just make sure that contract is executed on both parties, not just, obviously the vendor, but the Spurs need to sign that as well before any services are administered. And we have to have all those documents in place to make sure that, we do have the right contract in place. Okay, so this is our purchasing contact information. So obviously I'm Daniel Garcia, the senior manager of purchasing. My email is dgarcia@spurs.com. And then we have the logistics office is 210-444-5145. And then I added Mike Alden as well, who is on the call. And his email is malden@spurs.com. And feel free to reach out to us at any comments, concerns, questions on anything. Please feel free. We want you guys to kind of pick our brains on like how to gain business with us, because we're trying to, maximize our opportunities within the community as much as we can. And then if you have just any general inquiries or you just kind of want to contact the purchasing team, the purchasing team email is purchasing@spurs.com. All right, last but not least, any questions, closing remarks, and go Spurs, go. Thank you guys for this opportunity. Now we'll open up to any questions.
We do have one question. Stacey Alvarado asked, that she said there's no listing of opportunities on the websites of upcoming solicitations. She was asking if only registered selected vendors will be contacted if their services fit, or is there another place that they need to access that?
So that's a great question. So right now we're in the opportunity of developing that to present bid opportunities onto our website. Obviously this past year was kind of slow, so we didn't make any, that many major big purchases. But yes, to answer your question, we do only send it to selected vendors who we've kind of checked references. They've obviously, requested a meeting with us, and we kind of started developing those relationships on what types of commodities that they provide. And then anybody that's in our, a system and you provide that commodity, we'll obviously send it to you guys and make sure that, you can have an opportunity to bid on it. But we don't have a website where we publish bids, I guess you can say.
So if somebody wants to get in touch with you, should they just email you directly, request that meeting so that they can start that relationship?
You can email me, or I would highly recommend obviously emailing or going to that website and creating all that, putting all your information there, because that's going to alleviate a lot of the questions, because it's going to have you fill out, all just general information on what, goods and services you provide, where you're located, if you're SWMB certified. It's going to knock out all those questions that I would ask anyways,
Okay.
So just it'll help both parties out if you just go to that website and fill it out. And then that once you fill out that web form stack, it'll come directly to my email either way.
Okay, great. Couple of questions in our Q&A. Do you have to resubmit the vendor form on an annual basis, or do you only have to fill it out once?
You just fill it out once, and once we, yep, just simple.
Easy, just once. Okay. In regards to services, do you oversee the procurement of professional services?
So
like administrative, I'm thinking HR or something, yeah.
Right, full disclosure, I've only been there, this is my second month. So I haven't had the opportunity to do professional services. But I know moving forward, if we have an opportunity to put it out for bid for an RFP, then that's what we're going to do. But that's still in the infant development stages on, the procurements that we're gonna, kind of do in the future, I guess you can say.
Okay, Michael, feel free to jump in here at any time too. You don't sound like you've only been there a couple months, Daniel, so nicely done. Let's see, next question. Do you have any needs for IT or specifically project and financial management around IT?
What was the first part? Sorry.
Do you have any needs for IT?
Yeah, so we've obviously, we purchased for all kinds of AV equipment, and then, any internal and external software. So I would just highly recommend still, going back to the beginning, just, submit that request form to kind of get on the radar with us, and we can put you in our system. And, if that commodity comes up for, we got to purchase some software or hardware, then we have our vendor on standby for that.
Okay, same thing for advertising and marketing. They would still just go through the portal.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is an interesting question. If we have a product that we would like to share and we think would be of interest to you, but is not a response to an RFP, who's the best contact?
I would submit that question to the purchasing team, just as far as the inquiry or anything like that, because any one of us can answer that question and kind of guide if that product will be needed, or if, just maybe present to one of us or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I would just present that just in general to the purchasing team.
Okay. Do you allow subcontracting arrangements to be considered for services and supplies procured? So like a prime sub relationship, looking for that hub, SWIMBY, or
Right.
must it be 100% like hub effort when those are required?
No, so that's what the recommended course of action.
Okay.
So if it's obviously a big procurement and a SWIMBY or hub program can't put in a bid for that, I would partner with one of those big vendors, and because they're recommended to do a 20% on that contract as well. So if they are awarded a contract, then we highly recommend to subcontract some of that stuff out to SWIMBYs or hub programs as well.
Okay. And we got an unusual kind of question here. Can you talk about NBA licensing requirements when it comes to like your promotional products? I think somebody is probably it says that there were international players. Oh, no, that's a different question. I'm sorry. So yeah, let's talk about the NBA licensing. If you could share any, shed any light on that.
That's a great question. I don't know, Mike, you can provide anything on that, or I know we're pretty restricted.
I'm assuming it's somebody that does promotional products. So
right.
I don't know if you can do those locally or they have to come through the NBA. I think that's what the question is about.
Sure. And yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, if it's restricted item, like obviously if it's a Nike branded uniform, then we have to go through Nike or Wilson or whatever the case may be. Right. So if it's a licensing agreement that the NBA put in place, then the Spurs, we do have to adhere to that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes kind of sense when you're in the NBA.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. This is a good one too. It's about doing business with you specifically. Not a local nonprofit, so we cannot get the SWIMBY certifications. Oh, they are a local nonprofit, so they can't get the SWIMBY certifications, but are a value-based company and a source for City of San Antonio, Bexar County, and hundreds of San Antonio companies. They employ veterans and vision challenged people. Do you take this into account for bids?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about quality of the service, so if they provide good services and good, goods, then that's what we'll take into account. But we do emphasize that obviously the SWIMBY hub programs, but yeah, I do get the nonprofit. Yes, we will actually, we will to take that into consideration. Yeah,
as the Hispanic Chamber with 80% of our memberships that are nonprofits and small businesses, we definitely appreciate that. In the past, we know, well, actually, don't you guys have international players right now on the Spurs?
Yes, ma'am.
I had a question that, do you provide language training to them? And do you need any document translation? currently?
So you're talking about like interpreters type
Yeah.
services?
I think that's what it's
So
getting at.
that would probably be, yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question.
We have in the past, actually, with language learning.
It would make sense. That it was something that you would obviously offer your players and your team members. Okay, I've got a couple of questions. I was listening to the, what are some of the, I keep thinking that a lot of people are a little hesitant to do business with the Spurs just because you're the Spurs. So what are some of the common barriers that people perceive of business with the Spurs that are not necessarily true?
It's a good old boy system in that, we have a selected, amount of vendors and we only do business with them, from year to year. We're always open to other opportunities, other businesses. We're trying to promote, obviously, the Spurs organization and within our, small local communities. So that's kind of what I would, counter that question with.
I like that. Thank you for saying that. I think a lot of our people that are our members that are tuning in today do want to hear that validation that you do want to do business with them. And this is why we're doing this webinar. What are the most competitive areas where people can really kind of get down in the weeds? What are some of the things that you look for, or some of the areas that you send out those RFPs that are probably the most competitive areas?
I would say for the month I've been there, the couple of months I've been there, obviously the promotional marketing stuff, that's kind of where we do a lot of the, purchases are right now. And then any IT procurements that are going to kind of change the format of, especially the way we're doing business right now. A lot of it's going to be remote. And then when we get back, it's going to be, they're going to kind of revamp our IT infrastructure. So that we're always looking for the best value for that kind of stuff, because those can get, pretty extensive and expensive.
Okay, so conversely then, what are the least competitive areas of business?
I would say, it's something that everybody can do, or, it's like a building maintenance or something like that, that we have a leak, or we can go to certain contractors that, as long as you kind of obviously validated as a business and you do have references, we're not going to think too much into it. We do need to get something done. We're going to get it done.
Great. And I really love that you guys are giving feedback. I think that that's a huge thing, that you're calling people that might not have won the award or won the proposal, and to really give them feedback on how they can better their proposal, how they can do business with it, whether it was just too high or they didn't check all the boxes for you. I think that is incredibly important. So thank you for doing that. I've got one question left, and then we'll be mindful of everybody's time and let everybody go. Are you still looking for PPE or other COVID and first aid safety items for your venues?
Mike, you want to take that one?
We still do occasionally by department. We just put out for some logoed masks for various departments. So on occasion we have. It has slowed down quite a bit for PPE, but on occasion we do.
I have a feeling we're going to need that for a long time to come. So at least the hand sanitizer, we've all become a great habit of using that a lot more than we used to a couple of years ago. So I appreciate it. Thank you guys so much today. Thank you to our virtual audience for attending today's discussion. The link to this recording will be available on the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber's website, on our social media, along with additional information on the Spurs procurement process. I want to again thank Daniel Garcia and Michael Albin from the Spurs Sports and Entertainment. And on behalf of the San Antonio Hispanic Chamber, our CEO, Marina Gonzalez, our Chamber Chairwoman, Dr. Erica Gonzalez, and our Board of Trustees, we appreciate your participation today and hope to see you at our next San Antonio Hispanic Chamber event. Thank you guys so much and have a great afternoon.
Thank you guys.
Thank you very much.